Okay, and now we are going to go over the next part, which is the data processor. The data processor is going to ask you to create a class called data processor, and then we are going to create a function called getStats4 inside of the class, right? Oh, and then also we need to have we need to have a constructor with a data parameter that is an array passed into it. So we need that, and then we need the getStats4, and getStats4 is going to have the values array, which are all of the possible values that could occur, and then the field, which is going to be the field on the Bear object that will be accessed and counted. And then we're returning an anonymous object that holds all of the possible values and the percentages that these values occurred. Um, so here's the starter code for it right here. We are going to go over this. I think I'm going to go over the data processor and the random bears function itself um, together because it'll make more sense if I do it that way. So this is just our main random bears. It's just kind of like our main function, and it is the entry point for the rest of the code. So this is where all of the code will be working together. All these different classes will interact with each other. And what we're going to do is we are going to pass in the number of bears that we want, the number of randomly generated bears that we want to create. Um, and then we're going to have to return that bears array too. That's also part of it. That's just for my own testing purposes. So when I run your code, I can grade it easier. Okay, so let's go over the code real quick. Okay, so we are here. Okay, so this is the data processor, and then we'll get into this after the data processor. But so this might be it might be a little difficult to explain without, because this is pretty abstract, this class. This is why this part of the assignment is so challenging, is because it has a lot of very object-oriented ideas and very abstract ideas, and you really need to have a good understanding of them for them to click. So I'm going to do my best to explain how this works, and hopefully, once I get into this, it'll make more sense into the random bears, and all of this will make more sense then. So, okay, data processor. Here's our constructor with data being passed in, and we're assigning data here. Um, Then we are doing getStats4, and then here's the values array, and then here is the property. So let me show you what this is. Okay, values array. Values array, if we go down here, well, you know what? Let me go through this actually too. Let me go through this first as well. So here is the random bears, okay? And here's the random bears function. Here's the number of bears. And we are going to create a new object called the bear generator. And that is up here, right? Our bear generator that's going to create a random bear. And that is down here. Okay, so here's our bears array, bear generator, and then here we have a while loop, and we say while bears.length, so the number of bears that are in this array, is less than the number of bears that we want to create. We're gonna go through this. So we're gonna create a random bear. So it's gonna call this function up here. Okay, this is gonna be called. We're gonna get the bear, and then we're gonna push the bear into the bears array, and that's gonna increment the length by 1. Okay, you see how we're keeping track of that using the array count. Anyway, it's gonna go through that, and it's gonna give us however many numbers of bears that we want. Now, this is where the tricky part comes in, right? Here's our data processor, and this is taking in that bears array. Okay, this is as data. Well, this is called, we call it data here, but this is called, we look at this as bears, okay? Sorry, right here, as bears, okay? And now we're console logging. We're going to console log the food stats, and then here is where all the magic happens. Now, looking up here, okay, values array. Values array is going to be the bear generator's foods, right? So that's all of the possible values that the favorite food could be. Okay, you see that? So we're passing in the favorite foods property, and you have to make sure you spell it correctly. Okay, and that's going to be up here, favorite food. So we are going through and we are going to count all of the favorite food that all the bears have inside of the data array, right? And or it, yeah, inside of the bears array, and we are going to use the foods array or the foods property here that's on the bear generator. And this is going to give us all the possibilities, right? So honey, pizza, burger, burrito, etc. Okay, so we're going, and so that's what's very important. You have to just follow me on this real quick, okay? Foods is here, favorite food is here, okay? So that's what's happening. Okay, so let me put this here so you guys can follow this. All right. So values array is foods, foods, and property is a string. It is favorite food. Okay. That's what it is right now. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about what's going on down here. Because if you understand this first one, the rest of them are pretty much doing the same thing. Well, if you look, actually, I can just show you that right away. It's taking the types and we're getting the type property off of the bear. Taking the colors and we're taking the color property off of the bear. And then here we're also doing the is aggressive, but here we're just passing the only two possibilities that it could be is true or false, right? So, and then this is the property that is on the bear. Okay. So I'm going to go through the foods one, and then the rest of them will make sense. Okay, so let me copy this into the other function as well, which is this one. You don't have to make this function. This is just one I made, just to clean the code up a little bit. Okay, so what we are doing is, so the first thing that we do is we create this count object, okay? Count obj. Um, count obj is going to um, equal whatever this create count obj function does, right? And what it does is it takes in our values array and our property, okay, our bare property. So in this case, it's taking in the foods array and it is taking in the favorite food as a string, okay? And now let's go all the way down here and let's look at this now. What is this actually doing? Okay, so the first thing that we do is we are creating an anonymous object called a count object, right? And then what we're doing is we are going through all of the values in the values array, okay? And we are setting them all equal to 0. So let's code this up like this. Um, anonymous prop, okay? All right. So I hope that's a little clearer. So what this does is this is the anonymous property, and the anonymous property is going to be the first value in the values array. Okay, and the values array is foods. So the first value in the foods array, if we go all the way up, is honey. Okay, so very first this very first property is honey. Okay, and we're setting it equal to 0. Okay, so what this is doing is now we have an object, and it's going to have a honey property, and the value of 0 is going to be paired with it. Okay, that's what this is doing. So that's what we have, and we're going to do this for every single one in this loop. We're going to do this for every single value in this array. So we're going to have pizza, burger, burrito, wings, spaghetti, steak. They're all going to be inserted just like honey is with 0 there. Okay. The reason we're inserting with 0 is because we're going to count how many times these occur now in our data. Okay. So the data, if you remember, the data is the bears array. Okay, so let me put that in here as well. So data, well, this dot data is the bear array. the bears array that we passed in down here. Okay. So data processor takes in bears through the constructor, sets it. Okay. And now we're going to go through in this next array and we're going to loop through it. And now this is what this is going to do. Okay. So, um, well, this should be anonymous field, really. Let's rename this anonymous field. Okay. Technically not a property, it's a field. But okay. So, or attribute, depending on the language that you're in. Okay, so now we are going to go through and we are looping through the the data array, which in this case is our bear array, right? So we want to get the, let me chop this up too so it's a little easier to read. So we're going to pull out the bear. Well, in this case, we're going to call it a data object because we want to be um, as neutral as possible with the naming of this so we can reuse this. And let's put this in here. Okay, so that's a little bit clearer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the data array, or in this case, it is a bear array, right? We're going through the bears. We are going to pull out the bear object. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, in this bear object, we're going to dynamically access the field. Okay, you see that? So the field name in our case was favorite food. Okay, favorite food, and that is right up here. So what this is happening now is, what's happening is we are getting the favorite food of this bear. Okay, that's what this is. This is its favorite food or the field name. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the count object. And if, for example, this was Winnie the Pooh, right? Because we know Winnie the Pooh loves honey. So let's say, for example, this ended up being actually honey, right? So this is honey. So then what's going to happen is the the anonymous field honey, which is up here, right? It's going to get incremented by 1. So now that's what this does, right? You see the addition operator, the plus plus, that's going to increment it by 1. So now this is going to be that. And we go through this for every single bear, and we're going to access that bear's field. Okay, and that's how you dynamically do this. Um, and that's the same with all of these. Okay, and we're gonna count the types. This gives you the different the number of the types. Okay, this gives you the number of the colors, right? With the colors array. This gives you is aggressive, right? So is aggressive is a very easy one. Okay, if you think about is aggressive, it can only be true or false, right? So what's it going to do here? It's going to go through and it's going to just set true and false here. So if we were going to do this last one, which is true, false, and then is aggressive, this will end up being true and it will end up being false. These are the only two values that are going to be inside the count object, okay, because of the true and false here, okay, and we're setting them both to 0. Then what's going to happen is it's going to count all of the different bears that are aggressive or not, right? It's going to say whether they are, if they are true, if this ends up being true, right? Because it's going to be is aggressive, right? So if this ends up being true, it's going to go up by 1. And then let's say we have another one that's true. Let's say the next one is also true. So then true goes up by 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then even if there's one like that's false, right? Let's say we have 3 bears and one is false. So now false is going to be equal to 1, right? And that's how that works. And that's if we have 3 bears. And that's how you get the statistics for it, okay? That's how you get the count. You count all of them individually. So, okay, so let's keep going. I hope that was clear. If not, talk to me. I can try to clarify it for you. All right, let me clear all of this out. Okay, next. Now we have all of our counts. And now what we're going to do is we are going to go through and now we need to get the percentages. Okay, so that's what the stats object does. So the stats object is going to go through the values array again, and it's going to, at each value, it's going to access the count object's value. So now we're going back and we're accessing. So remember, if it was true or false, we're accessing the true, we're accessing all the falses. We're going to access all the different possible values. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to inside of this stats object, we're going to dynamically assign it a new value, similarly to how we did down here. So we can also name this anonymous field. Okay, so anonymous field. We can put this up here. And what we can do is we can actually, let's name this value. So this is going to be some value. We're going to access it in there. Okay. So now we're taking a value from the values array, which in this case could be true or false if it's, if for example we're going with this call, or it could be any type or color or whatever you pass into it, right? Or any food, and then that's the value of it. And then what we're doing is we are going through and we are going to get the count for this specific value. Okay, and that is from this count object. So remember we counted everything here. Okay, we can actually rename this even field name if we wanted to. So then we're going to go through and we're going to put that value into the stats object. Okay, so that value, we're going to dynamically add it and we are going to do some calculating work. Okay, so this is the calculation. This is so we're going to round it, right? So we're rounding to the nearest percent. So the way that we do that is we take the count and we divide it by the length of the data array, and then we multiply it by 100. And we do that for each value, and then you just return the stats object, and um, that's how you get this, and we console log the result. So let's put in 3. So when we put in 3 random bears, we're going to console log it, so we get the array as well. And here it is. So let's see. So here is our food stats. Okay, so 33% like pizza, 33% like burgers, and 33% like steak. And then we have, so let's see if that's true. So pizza, burger, and steak. Okay. Here's our bear array that we console logged. So here's a burger, here's a pizza, here's a steak. And then we have now we have the type stats. Okay, so the first one is a Yogi Bear, and then we have 2 teddy bears. Okay, teddy bear, Yogi Bear, teddy bear. You see that? And then colors. We have 1 indigo, 1 fuchsia, and 1 black. Okay, so here is 1 fuchsia, 1 black, and 1 indigo. Now notice with this as well, the weight is under 700, but it's a black bear, and its aggression is false. So keep that in mind too. That's from the bear class requirement that we have. And then here's the aggression. Okay, so we have 67%, which is 2 that are aggressive, and we have 1 that is not aggressive. Okay, so here we have the one that is aggressive because his weight is over 1,200 pounds. And then here we have 2 that are not aggressive, or sorry, 2 that are aggressive and 1 that is not aggressive. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So if you guys have any questions on this, I know this one was probably a little hard. Please let me know. I would be happy to help you guys out. All right.